Hey everyone, Mr. Wineland here, going over Chapter 11, Section 2, for some of those who may not have all these. We're going to talk about the rise of Russia. A lot of it goes back over for 1,000 years with a lot of hunters and gatherers living around that area, what is today part of Russia and Ukraine. Um, what we know about these individuals is that they were, and by the way, your answer number 14 is all in yellow here. So they were known as the Slavs. They occupied the plains and they entered the record about 800s as in the Russian Primary Chronicle. During that time, the Slavs along the Napier River were fighting amongst themselves, and then these individuals asking for help coming from Northern Europe may have been Vikings or were known as the Rus, and that's who the Rus were, is that they were Vikings from the north. Three brothers came out of this group. The Rus people migrated to Novgorod, a trading center. The oldest brother was Uruk, brought order to the Slavs in 882. Uruk's successor, Oleg, ventured further into the south to Kiev, united the region. In 907, Oleg wanted to extend Kievan Rus. Successfully did so by attacking Constantinople. We see that they also grew the growth of Kiev. Oleg's victory was big on trade. It got a bigger connection to the Byzantine Empire and with the Russian people. And by the late 900s, the Rus extended control beyond Kiev and defeated the Khazars, freed several Slavic tribes Khazars had controlled. We see also in Kievan region became a state called the Kievan Rus, and during this time, we see Kievan Rus was prestige. Ruler was Yaroslav the Wise. In 1019, Yaroslav became the Grand Prince, ruled by in 1054. And during this time, we saw that a lot of individuals, there was a lot of, it was a feudal system. There was a lot of princes, lords who controlled large areas, but there was the Grand Prince, the one who controlled all in 1054. Made many cultural and administrative improvements in Kievan Rus. Some of these things was they collected religious books, hired scribes to translate from Greek to Slavic language. They did a building program and really built some new kingdoms and things like that. Beautified Kiev. They had some military record. It was a little bit mixed. Regained lost territory. Defeated nomadic Pechenegs. Tried to attack Constantinople, but that failed. We do see, though, there's a bit of a relationship between Rus and Constantinople at one point, though, which helped keep some sort of a level there. But at one point, they did try to conquer Constantinople. More successful dealing with Western Europe, maintained good diplomatic trade relationships, arranged marriages with that of European princes. But during this time, we see that in 912, this was Kiev, Novgorod. This was mostly Russia at this point in time, and most of Western Russia is inhabitable. This is mostly cold. There's a lot of rocky mountains. Then in 972, they added the orange, and then the rest of red in 1054. Your answer to number 8 is everything in yellow here. Byzantine Empire was affected Russia not only within warfare, trade, but also with Christianity. We see before Rurik, Oleg, Slavs practiced native religion based on nature of many gods. We see by 863, Constantinople churchmen were sent to Greek monks. They were kind of thinking, let's build a relationship with some of these individuals, and we see that Morav to convert the Slavs to Christianity. Brothers Cyril and Methodius were sent to help with sharing Christianity. They would use the Slavic languages to celebrate Mass, use native language to help convert many Moravians. They developed a written alphabet for Slavic language called on the Greek alphabet, based on the Greek alphabet, called the Cyrillic alphabet. So everything yellow is your answer number 9. So thanks to Cyril and Methodius, they were able to spread Christianity throughout Russia, and that would extend even further. One of the biggest converts was Grand Duke Vladimir I of Kiev. He was baptized a Christian, married sister of a Byzantine emperor. He didn't marry his sister; he married the sister of the Byzantine Empire. So we do see that this builds a relationship with the empire and Rus. We see the conversion helped gain economic influence, political advantages with the Byzantine Empire. We do see that he would spread Christianity. So Vladimir, your definition for him and has made Christianity state religion of Kievan Rus and Christianity spread. Answer number 10 is just Vladimir. So we see that even though the conversion may have been politically motivated, like, oh, all right, I'm in good relations with the Byzantine Empire, he still built libraries, he built schools, he built churches, and spread Christianity. But tensions would grow, and we'd see things would get a little worse. And we see following the 1054 schism, semi-independent church set up in Russia, still linked to the Orthodox Church of Constantinople. Because around this time, remember, we talked a little bit about this, the 1054 schism, we see that Rome and Constantinople split. Constantinople went Greek Orthodox, and Rome went Catholic, Roman Catholic. Now, Russia would go stay Orthodox, but they wouldn't be referred to as Greek Orthodox, even though, yes, there's some Greek in their language and some aspects of their language at this point in time. They were still Russian, but they were called Russian Orthodox. They still had the same beliefs as the Greek Orthodox Church, but they went more of into a Russian Orthodox Church. We do see Vladimir was made saint into the new church. During the mid-1000s, so Kievan Rus reached its height in power and center of trade and culture, but by the end of the 1200s, it was at a steep decline, first by princes within the borders and later by invaders. We see eventually their economy kind of weakens a little bit, so there's their power, and that opens up the door for invaders like the Mongols to come in. After the death of Yaroslav, internal disputes were very common. This became a problem within the state's borders. We see Bogolyubsky, princes wanted to enlarge their lands in 1169. The Prince Andrew Bogolyubsky captured Kiev and became the new Grand Prince. We do see Bogolyubsky would move the home city of Vladimir and further weaken Kiev's position in the capital. He insisted ruling from his home city of Vladimir, moved it away from Kiev, but that hurt the capital of Kiev, and ultimately led to some attacks from Asia, which was the Mongols. In 1200, the Mongols, Genghis Khan was starting to gain power in China, and he created his own little empire. Even though they were nomads, they still created an empire, and they were known as raiders, and they would come in and defeat Rus in 1223. We see Genghis Khan died in 1227. Empire divided into 4 regions. In 1240, Kiev fell to the Mongols by Batu Khan, and Mongol state established in southern Russia and Kievan Rus dominance over. The Mongols left local princes in charge, did not interfere with church, and Prince Alexander encouraged Russians not to rebel against their new masters. So number 12 is everything in yellow here. Basically, the idea was, okay, look, they've already defeated us. Let's not make it worse. Let's just kind of go along with it. They're still letting us have our local governments, and they're letting us still be Christians. So they were like, let's not mess with them. So as a result, Mongols didn't destroy as much land because they didn't rebel. But the Swedes would come in. At the same time, Mongols attacked Rus. Danger came from a different direction. 1240, band of Swedes invaded Russian territory north of Novgorod. Swedes wanted to take control of lucrative trade of Russia and Byzantine Empire. We see Prince Alexander comes into the picture, and he calmed the Mongol threat and turned attention to the Swedes. By July 15th of 1240, Alexander launched a surprise attack against the Swede camp of the Neva River, and the Swedes defeated. Russia saved a full-scale invasion from the north. Prince Alexander at that point on would be known as Alexander Nevsky, changed his name. So that's your definition for Prince Alexander, also known as Alexander Nevsky. Banished by the city of Novgorod after meddling in internal affairs. When another invader would threaten Novgorod, they would actually turn back to Alexander. This German order, known as the Teutonic Knights, wanted to force the Russians to abandon Orthodox Church, convert to Catholicism. So this is your answer number 13. So the Teutonic Knights would invade the Baltic Sea area, and Alexander was called to battle them. We see that April 1242, Alexander's army lured the knights onto thinning ice. Ice cracked. Horses fell into the freezing water. This was known as the Massacre on Ice. In one of Russia's most famous battles, in Nevsky, which your answer number 11 is Alexander Nevsky, was celebrated as a hero. And this is Alexander. This is a mosaic. You can see the different tiles to form his picture here. Tiles kind of like pixels. And then you have this, there's a painting of him here. You see, for more than 200 years, Alexander's battles, Russia remained under control of Asian nomadic peoples. We see the Tatars came in. Central Asian people who spoke a Turkic language emerged as Russia's rulers after the Mongols. And then 1480, Russia eventually faced the foreign domination. And we see eventually Muscovy, east of Kiev, grew to importance within Russia and became the capital of the nation and gradually expanded to occupy much of Asia. All right, so there you go. That's Russia's history. We've got the Turks. Next, we'll see you there.